Hey, welcome to another episode of Flameworking. And today I'm going to make one of my favorite beads. This is a landscape bead. So I haven't made one of these in a while, and I really have been wanting to show you how I make this bead. I have a lot of stringers here that I use to make my landscape beads with. Some are different shades of green, some are for the trees, which are different shades of brown. They're all different shades of different colors or similar colors that are pulled out. So when I use them, you'll see more than one color. So this is what I use. And of course, since it's an episode, I always like to let you know what's going on. And what's going on down here in the basement is da 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 Song of Susanna. I'm on CD 8 of 12, and then I will continue on with the final installment of the Dark Tower series. It's just a really amazing book, especially when you have it in the audio version and the reader is excellent. So I always like to let you know what's going on with my books and where I am. I don't know, but I think that I mentioned that our son Alex is going to be moving in with us in June. And he is coming from San Francisco, so it's a long ways away. He's been there for 5 years, and he's got a body of work that he would like to do. So he's going to spend maybe a 2-year, maybe less, maybe more, residency here with us at Scottwood Research, so he can see his ideas come to life. And it's going to be wonderful. He'll be part of our Scottwood Research channel. He'll be our third person. So in the near future, be on the lookout for some videos starring and with Alex and the rest of us. So we're super excited about that. It's just going to be great. And that's like the best news ever. Okay, we're going to start this landscape bead. And I always start these with a base of white because we're going to be using transparents on top of it. And it's really going to stand out nice. So I am going to add my footprint beads all the way up to the length that I want this bead to be. So I'm just adding. And remember, you know, when you start adding higher up on your mandrel, you got to make sure your mandrel is hot enough to accept the glass. So always make sure you just heat that mandrel up right before you add the glass. And this time I'm just going to add a whole wad of glass by just twisting my glass rod back and forth in the flame to get as much white as I can on the bead instead of just having to do all these wraps. So this is about the size that I'm looking for and the amount of white that I'm looking for too. So at this point, what I'm going to do is heat the whole thing up and roll, rolling and shaping on my graphite pads. And I'm kind of making what is called a bicone shape. So I'm just heating up one side, and then I flip my mandrel over because I like to roll on one side. I don't know why. It's easier for me to roll on the left side. So we're going to continue to heat this up until one side is a little bit more tapered than the other. I do a lot of shaping just to get exactly what I'm looking for before I start to add anything. And I think this looks pretty good. So I am going to start adding the background landscape, which is a stringer that is greens. There are a little bit of red in there, and there's some browns in there. Anything for ground color is good. And look at how I push it on the table. I gently, very gently will heat just the side that I need and get it into shape. This is kind of a strange video because when I filmed it on the GoPro, the the speed was completely off, so I had to deal with that too. Okay, now let's add a little bit of background like sky. So I add a little bit of the violet, and now we're going to go ahead and add that beautiful aqua blue all the way up to the very top using that twisting and heating method to get all the glass that I need up there. There's going to be a little bit of white showing at the top, but that's fine because at some point we will be putting clouds in there. So here I am. I'm going to heat this whole thing up and start to roll it out and get it back into shape again. My main goal here is to add a little bit of clear because the bottom part needs that extra bit of glass in order to fill out the bead. Plus, it'll act as more of a background when we start to put in the trees, and you'll see a little difference there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some clear to that ground part, and that will push that down and make it like a background. And I'm really careful when I add this clear. I don't want to add too much of the clear above the tree line or the landscape line, whatever you want to call it. But now I feel like I have enough glass on both sides of the bead. So at this point, I'm just trying to heat up that clear. To me, this kind of looks like it's going in slow motion. Again, because I was having camera problems. It'll speed up here again in a minute, I'm sure. And I'm just going to start rolling that out so the clear meets up with the rest of the glass and melts into it seamlessly. And this is really exciting because this is episode 9. We are almost to episode 10. So this is like the perfect time for me to make this bead. I have not made a bead yet on any of the episodes, but this is the one that I knew I was going to make when I was thinking about, you know, what kind of Flameworking episodes would I like to do? And this is definitely one of them. Now, the problem here is that I'm heating this up and I lost the footage of me flattening it. So I really apologize for that. And that's just how it is. So I have a very small piece of cane with like 2 different colors of brown on it, light brown and dark brown. And I'm just gently going to heat up the glass so I can add that first little dot to it. And then I just start creating what I think looks like tree trunks. And then I will add little dots here and there, and that ends up looking like a knot in the wood. And I will go on the sides as well because it is a bead that you want to see all the way around. Just adding little bits and pieces here and there. Now what I'm going to do with this is very gently, with my butter knife again, I'm going to just flatten down some of those tree lines. So when I add the foliage to it, it's not going to be in the way. It'll be nice and flat, or close to being flat. This bead does have texture to it. I'm not going to add any more clear on top, but if I did, it would be quite interesting. Now I have a green stringer. This stringer, all of my green stringers have usually 2 opaques and a transparent green. And I'm just adding little tiny dots where I think the foliage needs to go and all the leaves. And I will use different rods, different stringers of green, lighter ones, like a medium color ones or a darker one. So I'll make these green stringers in a light, medium, and dark shades. And that will help with the realism on this bead. And all I'm doing here is just adding dots. And I'm overlapping dots too. I'm adding dots on dots. because when they melt down, they're going to get a little bit bigger. And I'm looking at it and thinking, well, we need to have a little bit more of a darker color. So I start adding some darker colors to these trees. And that'll give it more of a natural look, because trees are not all just one color. There's shade happening, and we need to have a little bit of that idea going on here. Looks good. So far, so good. This does take time. These beads usually take about 35 to 45 minutes to make, all said and done. I'm adding some bushes on the bottom, a little bit more on the top. And then here in a little bit, when I'm finished adding all of my green, I might add some a little bit of color to the bottom. So I have an orange that might signify little small bushes or flowers. And then I'll add a couple of little red dots for the same thing. They could be apples, they could be flowers, they could be, just red foliage. And I'm just smoothing things down a little bit more, because if I don't do that, the grass, or the what am I trying to say? The leaves, they just get really bulky. So I want to flatten those down a little bit before I finish. And here is where I finish things off with my little bit of red. And this is just these little tiny different colored stringers here that I use for the bottom. They're nothing special, they're just single colors pulled out. And at this point, we're finished. And I think, no, we're not. We're going to add more. Sometimes I'll do these little talks, and then I forget how long things take to create and make. Oh yes, we can't forget about the clouds. Just a little hint is all we need. And what I'm doing is I'm just swiping the color on there. Just a little bit here and there. Now I'm heating the whole thing up, and we're done. Okay, well, let's check out this bead. Oh wow, yeah. Looks cool. Ooh. Hey. Yeah, this is nice. I like it. We'll take it upstairs and clean it out, and then we'll show it off. Yay! Okay, here we are again at my little bead cleaning station, and I have my Dremel tool with the tapered diamond bit on the end, and I'm just gently going in and trying to get out all of the bead release that I can. Always making sure the bead is in the water. Looks good. Beautiful! I hate bringing up subscribing, but if you haven't subscribed, I just want you to know that when you do subscribe, it really, really helps our channel to grow, and there's no money involved, it's not painful, you don't get any weird stuff. Just hit the subscribe button, and all will be well. I'm hoping that at some point we can start to generate some kind of income from this channel so that we can bring you even better content. And that is our goal. Other than that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.